Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how you can create a message that really moves the needle, that really supports people to act, to perhaps join a movement, to buy your program, product, or service, whatever it is. But for people to say yes to something that they want, need, and is actually important in the world to have solved. So I've been doing this for over 10 years. It's my blessing to help people to craft messages that they deliver on stage or in webinar. And so I want to share with you 5 really important elements in terms of being able to, that what Malcolm Gladwell says is the tipping point between people saying, oh, maybe that was a nice thought, it's inspiring, whatever it is, to yes, I'm going to act. I'm going to make this decision. And while what we're going to be talking about could be applied to sales, just know that everything that we do to create a mass movement, to create influence in the world and global change, that everything I'm going to share with you today is actually sales. And that we should embrace that word rather than shy away from it. Because nothing happens until someone says, yes, I believe in that movement. Yes, I want to be part of that nonprofit. Yes, I want to make a difference in the world and I'm willing to invest in myself in order to do that. So there's all sorts of reasons why sales is a wonderful thing. And today is not going to be focused on that, but rather on how does the message contribute to your influence to be able to help people to take the action that's needed to make this world a better place. So the first thing is, when you're crafting a message, do you really know the why of it? Not only why you're doing it, but why is the topic important in the first place? Really getting into that and understanding what is the meaning behind what we're trying to do here, and relating that to people is so important. But most people never do it. They just jump into their talk without any regard for the why. And as Simon Sinek says, the why is the most important thing. And yet most of us are completely ignoring it when we do our messaging and do our talks and webinars. So that's the first thing. The second thing is identifying the problem at hand. So a lot of people say to me, well, Karen, we already had it up to here with marketing that talks about problems, and why don't we be more positive in the world? And here's the thing, everyone. Nothing has ever moved forward in our life without someone identifying the problem at hand and trying to make things better. So I'm not talking about doom and gloom and fear at all. I'm simply talking about the way that our human minds work is that we think problem solution. That we have something, we want to make it better. So maybe we don't call it a problem, but that's essentially what it is. and we move over into solution. And so if you cannot identify and articulate what that is, where are we right now and where could we be? And being able to say that in the language of the person who's already in it, who's already experiencing that. Martin Luther King, for instance, I always say is the best salesman in the world because he got a whole thousands and hundreds of thousands of people mobilized for an amazing mission, right? And he used the language of the people. And you must do this because this is where our thoughts, when they are voiced by an influencer, by someone who cares enough to change things, this is where things really start to, again, using Malcolm Gladwell's title, tip, the tipping point. All right? So that's one thing is the problem. But another thing related to the problem is your personal story. I'm sure that you've experienced that problem. You've experienced the challenge many times, right? And if you haven't, maybe it was your sister or your brother or a friend, or maybe you've been working in a field for 10 years and you've noticed this issue, and you are trying to solve that issue. So you have a story to offer. It may not be a fantastic, dramatic story, of climbing Mount Everest, running out of water, but still, making it to the top, and whatever that story is. But here's the thing. Your story matters to every person who's sitting out there listening to you, who has that same issue that you went through, because they need to know they can get through it. All right, so that's a third thing that's very, very important of the 5 steps. A fourth step of the 5 steps here that I want to share with you is about being able to show people that you can get results, that if they follow your system, your process, your steps, if they follow the things that you've laid out for them that are clear and in their language, then they can get those results. They can solve the problem. They can, join forces with other people to be able to create something that supports global challenges, to overcome things. So it's very important that that also be part of it. Now, how do you prove your results? Well, sometimes you'll have case studies of people that have worked with you, maybe they started in a certain spot and now they're over here. But those case studies show the story. Again, telling a story of someone, whether it's you or someone else, really is what people remember. They won't remember so much your facts and all of the particulars, but they remember your story. So tell more stories and share, instead of saying, oh, this is what, the testimonial that so-and-so gave to me, and you read it out and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb in your talk or your messaging. Share it in the context of a story as you're teaching, as you're delivering your content. And another thing, and a fifth thing, is the call to action. Whether it's, like I said, whether it's a formal offer that you're giving them, or whether it's a call to action to do something. Like in a TEDx talk, I teach people how to do TEDx talks as well. And I always say, you have this inspirational talk, you need to end it with a call to action. What should people do next with the information and the stories that you've delivered? They need to do something. And one of the things when you are creating an offer that actually supports them to make a change is that you need to consider their objections. Why should they listen to you? Why should they take those action steps? They're thinking maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 objections in the back of their mind. And because you're an effective influencer and communicator, you don't push those things under the carpet. You want to address those things. So how can you address objections in a talk or a message, webinar, whatever it is that you're delivering on a huge stage? How do you do that? And the thing for me is, every time that I bring up an objection, I want it to be part of a conversation. I'm just talking one-to-one with someone and really addressing what it is that is their concern. And I like to address it rather than being defensive and getting into, oh, well, I've got the solution and you should just trust me. That's never a good idea. But rather, come up with a real solution for their concern. Maybe it's a gift that you give them, something you've created that's really powerful, that will address their concern. And these are things that, really these 5 steps are things that if you include them in every message that you deliver, you're going to have a much more powerful force of influence in the world and be able to create movements, Be able to get people on board, raising funds for important things, taking action, for global injustices, sustainability, all those things. And also with your business to be able to sell your much needed program, product, or service. So work on these things, and I look forward to seeing you soon. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. And on the right side, you'll see a button where you can click that little bell. It's a bell shape. And that will allow you to get notifications when our next video comes up.